everybody else, welcome back to the LEC Summer Playoffs, a do-or-die series between Fnatic and Misfits, where the winner advances to face G2 on Sunday for the final spot at Worlds and a shot at the title, a shot at the championship. Welcome back to the Caster Desk. I'm Quickshot, joined by Guldborg, and we just witnessed Fnatic picking up their first win of 2021 against Misfits.
Yeah, it's and in Fnatic fashion as well. We saw how heavily they focused down towards the bottom side of the map. Bwipo had a lot of survivability in some of these skirmishes as well, especially on the Viego.
And of course, that Viego is a question in my mind. Should Misfits ban it? Should Misfits have a better answer to it? Because ultimately, it was the cause of their demise against Rogue. And while in the previous game, Viego was not the sole reason they lost that game, it is not something they've been able to control. As we look at the bans, Jace, Varus, as well as Sylas, those are the same three bans from Fnatic, and a pivot, it is the Rakan instead of Twisted Fates.
Yeah, you know what? I actually think that the Rakan ban, or at least the takeaway of it, would have been good as well, because I think Misfits, they genuinely just quite struggled with all the priority that Fnatic had with that bot lane, with what Hylissang was able to do with said agency. And now they're also swapping it up. They're not going for an instant Camille LeBlanc rotation. They're going for the Camille Lee Sin, so they might have another mid laner planned.
Well, let's find out, of course. Despite picking the red side, Misfits locked in their solo laners in the first three in the previous game. Razork was able to help HiRit get an advantage, but frankly, Misfits didn't do anything with it, weren't able to press that further, and Adam on that Renekton had a much larger impact as the game played out.
Yeah, this is also a adaptation coming through from Fnatic now in the series against Vitality. We saw that they opted in for picking their bot lane ahead early and put Hylissang in a favorable matchup. Now they just went for the Braum instead, which is usually a support you pair up with AD carry that needs safety.
Well, which safety will that be, or which ADC will it be? And the third pick here for Misfits will be Orianna. I think this is a little bit more of a versatile pick than we saw from the LeBlanc. And of course, Misfits found they couldn't stand toe-to-toe with Fnatic.
But this also shows a pivot coming in from Misfits now, because Orianna is a champion that wants to scale up for the later team fights, not to split up the map. So now with the Camille, you can still play around her in the early laning phase, but now you also have a bit of a more agency in these team fights coming through from a Shockwave as well, all paired up with a Lee Sin diving in.
But that means you also need to see the coordination and the timing on it, which Misfits didn't demonstrate in the first game. Now, Orianna is the 5th most played champion for Vetheo. 12 games, he's won exactly 50% of them. However, this summer, it will be the first time we're seeing him on that pick. Vetheo, of course, has been leaning more towards some of the playmakers or more lane-dominant champions. And as we hit to phase 2, Ezreal as well as Nautilus already in the ban pool.
Yeah, I wonder how many bans they're going to invest into Upset here. We saw they invested a lot into Hans Sama, and now Upset, Ezreal, Sire, Kaiser with some of the champions he played in the Vitality series. Do you feel like you need more bans against some of the solo laners here, or do you feel like it's going to be one more AD carry? It seems that Twisted Fate we saw earlier now with the Orianna being locked in as well seems like a very good response.
It really is, and of course, Nisqy's Twisted Fate is fantastic, and the way that Fnatic can invest resources into Upset is something that we've seen so often. We saw that heat map during Ready Check of the amount of time that Fnatic spent in that bottom lane. The final ban was Trundle. Now, previously, it was the Tristana, and of course, with that Braum, we've already talked a little bit about how you want to pair it with maybe a more scaling champion or something with a little less mobility. Kobbe will once again return to the Ashe, something we saw several times last weekend. 4th time this summer, 0 wins with it so far though, Guldborg.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think you also had to go for it here, giving over the Ashe Braum with not a lot of engage coming through from you to attack the bottom side of the map. If we are to go of the opinion that they will still play up towards the top side, just felt needed there. So they have to go for the Ashe here, and then on the other side, Fnatic, they get to be aggressive. So now with the Braum, they pair it up with the Tristana. That is paired nicely with the Halo Blade. You usually go for the champion for the passive. So once again, strong team fight composition to come out from Fnatic.
And it is the most played champions for both Upset and Nisqy this summer. 6 previous games played, 4 of which with victories. And this will now be the 7th. Once again, a composition that can just run you down, can group up and absolutely dominate. But the last pick here from Misfits is a surprise. Seraphine for Vander.
Now that is very interesting, and I've been wondering when we would start to see these enchanters pair up as well. On recent patches, we've seen a lot of buffs to come through to some of the healing items. From the pool, you obviously go with the Moonlight coming through from Vander and the Seraphine. So extended team fighting is what they are realizing Fnatic wants to do. So now they want to have that extra healing in it as well.
Well, this is the first Seraphine of LEC Summer, and it is an interesting adaptation. This is something we've talked a lot about over the course of playoffs. How do teams change their approach to the game, their picks and bans, and their strategy? But even more significantly, Misfits against Fnatic, the bottom lane difference is so heavily Fnatic favored. I'm intrigued to see what Kobbe and Vander can do with this Ashe and Seraphine. What is their game plan and what is their goal here, Guldborg?
Yeah, so it's interesting because you get to play 2 ranged into 1 ranged and melee, which usually gives you priority. The problem is if you misstep a Seraphine and get attacked by one of the Winter's Bite, then it's super easy for the Tristana to try and jump onto you.
Oh, that is actually so true. When you look at the squishy members on the side of Misfits staring down the Viego, the Renekton, the Sylas, they cannot misposition. They cannot make any mistakes. It's Fnatic taking on Misfits for Game 2. Welcome back to Summoner's Rift. The Ashe Seraphine, the first Seraphine of LEC Summer. And for me, a little bit of insight into Misfits' thinking and approach. It's, I think, very fair to say that Upset and Hylissang have been the better performing duo in the bottom lane. Now we need to see what this assignment from Misfits can do.
I think it's definitely a lane where you don't necessarily have to put too many resources into it. If we take a look at the summoner spell choice as well, Upset has decided into the cleanse, so they don't really have that heal for an extended brawl rather. And just in general, as a lane, Ashe with Seraphine pairs up really nicely. Ashe auto attack slows, Seraphine doesn't have to hit the passive with the E instead. So you can just have a slow, land the E, and then all of a sudden it's a root. There you go.
Oh man, okay, very, very interesting here. Of course, Kobbe and Vander have been very defensive all summer long. Kobbe in particular has really only sort of shone as his team has got to the team fight stage. And as we look towards the top half of the map, as the majority of champions, with the exception of this Orianna, are going to be the same, I want to see what Razork and HiRit can do, because they were able to find both summoner spells and kills in game number 1.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting about the junglers here this time around, because they're both starting up towards the top side of the map. And if you paid attention to it, the bottom lane from Fnatic actually fake leashed. And there's no vision right now for Misfits in the enemy jungle. So the only information they have right now is that Fnatic is bot lane leashed, which is fake.
Well, that means there's going to be an opportunity here to punish whether or not Razork and Bwipo will be able to find one another. Let's keep an eye. Vetheo did get jumped on at level 1 by Nisqy, but of course with that clockwork passive, going to be able to get a lot of autos down, just pushing this wave into Nisqy. And I do like this small adaptation here we saw in the mid lane. LeBlanc wasn't able to really apply the pressure that Misfits were hoping for. I'm keeping my eyes on that minimap. I'm not sure if Viego stepped forward into the Raptor camp, has missed it entirely, so that vision from Misfits will not spot him out until the Hawk shot. There we go.
So the entire early game plan there from Fnatic, well, not the entire one, but the first early game plan from Fnatic there disrupted by the Hawk shot, as Adam takes a tower shot. And now they also have the information that if needed, Razork can shadow them down towards the bottom lane if Bwipo were to go for a cheeky little gank in the early game towards the bottom side.
Let's take a little look here. As no real skirmishes for the time being. I was just getting an update from our stats team that we've seen a couple of Seraphine mid lanes from around the world, LPL, LCK, and LCS, but only one other record of support Seraphine. So definitely a surprise, definitely something that has not been used particularly frequently. And unfortunately, of course, for Fnatic, that Hawkshot vision onto Bwipo will mean that not only are Misfits aware of this, but now all of a sudden, They're going to be under pressure. That concussive blows, not going to be able to find the stun onto Vander just yet, but Bwipo does. He's been exhausted. Defensive flash from Kobbe. All summoner spells used by Misfits. A fantastic play by Fnatic.
Yeah, but at the same time, Razork now has just to pivot up towards the top side of the map to try and get the second scuttle. But it seems like he's actually going to stick around here. He's anticipating a second gang would come through from Fnatic, but Bwipo being spotted on the scuttle, and he backs off.
I think that's very heads-up play from Razork. Fnatic have invested multiple ganks, even behind towers early on. So we'll be able to at least dissuade Bwipo for now. Hylissang jumps into the middle lane. The stun will land onto Vetheo. He's low on mana, flashes over the wall, and Razork will be able to knock away Fnatic for the time being. Fnatic very early applying pressure here onto Misfits, but with so many summoner spells down, who will be the first target? The shield to protect not going to be enough to keep Vetheo alive, and first blood secured by Bwipo. Turns himself into the Orianna, and it's Nisqy that gets the second. 2-0 to Fnatic.
I'm baffled. Misfits went for that one. You already know there's a man advantage with the Braum, and it's a Braum, Trevor.
The amount of CC that can come down, Hylissang impacting the bottom lane, impacting the middle lane, but remember, Misfits opted into that one. And look, in the top now, HiRit is going to get jumped on by two members of Fnatic. He needs to make this hook shot work. Flashes away, long range hook. Won't be able to escape with the aid of the flash.
That's the timing you're going for, but Hylissang, he's still out roaming on the map. He doesn't need to go down towards the bottom side of the map. Kobbe, Vander, just reset, coming through with the two long swords, and the map is just back to standard state with Razork, though, peeing up towards the top side of the map.
Well, can he help pick up a kill here? Adam, no flash, level 4. Bwipo is relatively close by. There's 1,000 gold advantage for Fnatic already. This minion wave is very, very thin. A Cull the Meek should be able to thin it relatively quickly. The Haramis comes out, and Razork is going to be the target. He goes so low, flashes over the wall. We need their blast cone to get to safety, and Razork's not had any positive influence so far.
No, it's really not working well for Misfits, but at the same time, every time there's action, Bwipo is just there for the counterplay when he went for the gang down towards the bottom side, in the mid lane, and now in the top side.
Help me find the words. When we see what Razork's decision-making has been, both in game number 1 and now game number 2, it has felt like he's not found the right targets. It's felt like multiple times has led Misfits into a situation that they weren't able to, come out on top of. And this game in particular, it's managed to cost them.
It definitely has. I think going for the early game, at least towards the bot side when the first bot came through, he went for the scuttle instead. Now that can be communication and not down to him entirely, but what happened in the mid lane with V2 and Razork, definitely a little bit of a mishap.
Yeah, it did not work out in their favor, and now Kobbe, summoner spell-less, gets his ECA, hijacked away, and upsets on the board. The third kill for Fnatic, the what feels like 15th gank in the bottom lane, and it will end up being a 1,600 gold lead for now.
Yeah, but they're still trying to set up on Nisqy. They know he's coming up towards the mid lane here.
Okay, Veteo's got the shockwave available to him. We'll be able to pull Nisqy back. And he's going to be able to pick up the kill. That's the first for Misfits. Hylissang's going to be jumped on by Bwipo. Has already thrown down the Heartbreaker, but here comes Vander. Still got the exhaust if he needs it. Bwipo will be the first target. Is being focused by 3 members. Exhaust is needed, in fact, and it's going to be another kill to Bwipo. Razork is taken out as Bwipo turns himself into a Lee Sin. He gets another. It's a double for Bwipo.
God, that looks so interactive with Viego coming through there. Survives against 3 members. The Braum pairing up with him, and then the reset. It's all they needed. HiRit now being stoned off a huge wave as well, which is Cannon, and he's very low himself with no flash.
No flash. Hextech Ultimatum is there. Vander slowly moving to the top lane. Here is at least getting some experience, but down 20 CS. Will throw out the tactical sweep and tries to put some damage with the Hextech Ultimatum. Locks Adam in place, and HiRit will find himself a kill with the support of Vander. But we have to go back. Bwipo 3-0-1 on this Viego.
Yeah, initially a really nice strategy to come through from Misfits. They knew that Nisqy had just been down towards the bottom side, wanted to go back up towards the top side, but then the brawl starts happening afterwards. They have the 3-mans coming through. They recognize they can go for it, but in reality, as soon as this winter bites hit onto Razork and he's pinned down by the Viego, it's over. That's a reset to come through, and there's nothing you can do. No summoner spells left either for the side of Misfits, and they're just sitting ducks for Bwipo shotgun on Viego.
I mean, I I asked the question during the course of the draft, should you ban the Viego? What is the answer for it this time around? Bwipo is finding himself gigantic advantages, plus 2,000 gold. You can see the total gold in individual players on the side of your screen, but let's not assign praise to an individual here. Fnatic as a team have consistently moved around the map. Hylissang's roams have been beautiful to behold, and they've managed to get a very large lead before 10 minutes.
Yeah, definitely, because this time around, not only did they help Adam up towards the top side, they're sending bot lane resources out to the rest of the map on a Braum of all champions that usually like to stick around the AD carry to keep him safe, but they recognize going up against a Seraphine and an Ashe, pre-6, you don't have to worry about too much. So Hylissang, he's done an excellent job being out, roaming around with Bwipo, the jungle support synergy, and it's worked out wonders for them.
It really has. Now CS advantage in the top lane. There will be a route onto Hilly as the wall will prevent any further follow-up. And now all of a sudden, it is a massive turnaround. Remember in the previous game, it was HiRit that was dunking on Adam with multiple ganks invested into his lane. Now, in what has been mostly a 1v1, it is HiRit that is struggling and under so much pressure.
Yeah, you can definitely see it. And despite Vetheo having the pressure right now in the mid lane, it doesn't stop Nisqy from just roaming around the map himself. He doesn't mind losing these plays because he's creating pressure elsewhere on the map. HiRit, he's going to lose so much, and he's been such a big win condition from the side of Misfits. But we take a look at the minimap. We see Vetheo and Razork. They are around this Drake pick, and they could try and look for something around it.
Well, they're not going to get the time to do so. Hylissang flashes forward, throws out the Glacial Fissure, but there's so much damage onto Kobbe. Exhaust finally chucked out onto Upset. Kobbe's alive for now, but here comes Bwipo. He's got the ultimate available to him and has not pulled the trigger just yet. Razork looking for the Dragon's Rage kick, and he holds onto the trigger. Flash available to him as he knocks Hylissang backwards. The resonating strike helps pick up the kill, and then all of a sudden, the turnaround. Without the burst, without the kill, Kobbe and Razork keep Fnatic back.
That is the impact we look for in Razork. This is what we see in him when we talk about it. Such a huge kick and the Sonic Wave to follow up, and it stops the bleeding of the early game that Fnatic has laid upon this game. They even get to pick up a Drake, which is huge because remember game 1, they just ran away with the soul and everything.
I mean, it was a 5.5-minute first dragon for Fnatic, and I think when you look at the impact of this Seraphine, not only the exhaust, but then, of course, heals. The movement speed did so much to allow Kobbe to escape.
It definitely did here, and I love the way they sync up their abilities as well. They wait for the cleanse to come out from Upset. As soon as that is on cooldown, then Kobbe can start firing the Ashe arrows, so really intelligent as well. And then Fnatic, they go for the overextension here while Bwipo is charging up that W, and that is where Razork hits. That is where they start picking up these kills.
Very, very nicely done. A little bit of patience there on the kick from Razork, allowing the time. So the shutdown gold secured to Misfits, as well as that dragon. They're now only 500 gold behind. And what felt like an early game that was just running away from Misfits is now stabilized and equalized.
They still have tools to cash in their investment on the Reptile, though, that is in the pocket of Bwipo, and he's moving up towards the top side, where the rest of Misfits is responding as well.
There's so many teleports coming in. Everybody's invited. Adam's going to be the first target killed by Razork, and now HiRit's running for his life. No ultimatum available to him, and Razork will flash to safety. All of a sudden, the pressure is on Vetheo. He manages to get the last hit onto Bwipo's Viego, and Nisqy's trying to do what he can. Cannot take down Vetheo. It is 3 kills to Misfits.
That was so well read by Misfits as well. They saw immediately that Bwipo wanted to cash in the Herald, so as soon as Vetheo had the pressure, moved up towards that mid lane. Razork immediately afterwards the reset, moved up towards that top side.
You have to watch every single fight in slow-mo because of the decision-making and the individual outplays and dodges. Misfits managed to make this one work.
They definitely did, and you can see Adam, he's trying to go for a skirmish because he knows Nisqy has to teleport himself. Bwipo is on the way, but the problem is for him right now, the members of Misfits are just that much closer to the play, and that makes it so much easier for them to win the fight as soon as they have created a man advantage for themselves.
I mean, the target selection as well. Misfits were able to focus fire individual members, use the mobility to escape. Because of that play, the Rift Herald was summoned inside the base of Fnatic and is now just dawdling its way towards this top tower. That 2,500 gold lead has now turned into a small advantage for Misfits, but frankly, I don't think it will be the most meaningful thing because it's just how these team fights and these skirmishes play out that is dictating who gets the lead.
Yeah, completely right. But that Herald right there as well, Trevor, was a very good example of what we talked about earlier. I don't get to talk about it. Kobbe.
Ashe arrow into the face of Upset. His cleanse was not available. There was no cleanse. Donated to Kobbe, the aggressive play punished because the CC could not be deactivated.
That's what we call an interesting play right there. And I don't know, Hylissang, they thought he got the aggro after the Glacial Fissure, but he didn't. And as soon as the Ashe arrow came out, as you see it yourself, Upset, no cleanse.
And this is just another game of non-stop action. At 14 minutes in, we've got ourselves 13 kills on the board. And while Dragons and Towers have not been hugely focused this time around, it has just been fight after fight after fight. And what I like, though, is both teams are trying to create advantages through proactive plays.
They definitely are.
There's not like patience and wait and punish. They are trying to force the hands of their opponents.
Yeah, you're completely right, Trevor, but it doesn't stop the proactivity from a losing or winning team either. They know they just have to continuously pull the trigger. And Fnatic, they've been very adaptive in this series. They realize they can't go for attention towards the bottom, so they're trying to do it topside instead.
Oh, the interrupt on the hook shot means HiRit will be locked down. 3 members of Fnatic inside of Misfits top lane. The kill is secured by Bwipo, the 6th for Fnatic, and this should unlock the tower as well. That was a very, very good interrupt from Bwipo, and Fnatic once again showing a proclivity for focusing the Herald. I think they've been inside the pit first time on all 4 of the Heralds we've seen so far.
Yeah, they definitely have. They didn't get one of them, but as you said yourself, they have been first, and it looks like they're just going to pick up the second one as well. With HiRit being down, having no ultimate, he does have that TP if you want to contest, but I'm not so sure about it unless they find this pick onto Nisqy.
Well, this is a little bit brave here. Nisqy walked in front of a ward. Razork landed the Sonic Wave. The rest of Fnatic can jump forward. Teleport is now being channeled from Adam. The Encore tags 2. The Unbreakable blocks some follow-up, and the Enchanted Crystallara simply not had the impact it needed. Here comes Vetheo. The Shockwave catches 3, but where's the follow-up? It's a fight on 2 fronts as the Buster Shot from Upset pushes Vander and Kobbe away. It's Bwipo the first to fall. It's a reply for Vetheo as well as Razork, but Kobbe and Vander relatively untouched. Upset will rocket jump his way forward. Kobbe continues to chase out tag. Concussive blows, and the stun could be what it takes. That's a triple for Upset before he's finally taken down. Now Vander and HiRit trying to get another back. All of a sudden, Hylissang's taken out. Nisqy, the last man standing for Fnatic, and that's going to be the flash away from HiRit. A 3-for-4 in the river.
So much action in this game, Trevor. It's honestly unreal, and it starts off a pick of Nisqy. In the beginning, it seemed like this was just going to be another objective going over to the side of Fnatic, and while it does do that, it's still the team fight that Misfits up into. This is the adaptation of the composition where they do so much more well in a team fight scenario. They have more ground to play with the CC from the Ashe arrow. They have a huge shockwave as well to pair it up with. And this is just a great team fight all around to watch, no matter the perspective.
I really, really feel like Upset's ultimate there saved the fight. I think Kobbe and Vander could have picked up 1 or 2 more kills early in the river there. They wouldn't been able to have the setup, but 3 kills for Fnatic, 4 kills for Misfits. And they also pick up the Herald, so they're going to drop that in the middle lane. And we are in for another bloodbath of a game. The second dragon secured. It's Misfits, like you said, in control, but more importantly, their composition this time can stand toe-to-toe with Fnatic.
I think that was the adaptation they opted in for as well as soon as we saw the drafts here for this game too. Orianna, Seraphine, extended team fights, the healing, the shielding, all the tools you get to create this extra survivability from the shielding as well is just really what Misfits needed, and it's pairing off very well for them. They've now picked up 2 Drakes as well. There's no Drakes on the side of Fnatic, and if it continues like it does here with them winning out on these fights, it's actually a pretty good side for Misfits in a style where they're not trying to open up the map but close it.
And of course, in contrast to the previous game, the team fights, the skirmishes, the decisions on when to engage are now working out for Misfits, right? I was quite critical of Razork in the previous game, as well as the opening to this one. But with the composition and with the way that Misfits have played it out, it doesn't feel like they're out of it yet. Fnatic, however, not done. That's a W forward from Upset. A tactical sweep to try slow him down. Hook shot forward as well as the Glacial Fissure. While all that's going on, Misfits are pushing the mid lane with the minion wave.
So many resources are being put into this top side for Fnatic right now, but they're just going to be losing the mid lane turret here. Then they can move all their attention down towards the bottom side of the map if they want to. So Fnatic here, really desperate to create a pick in a side lane, but just does not find it with HiRit getting out.
No, I almost feel like that felt more desperate than it needed to be at this stage. Relatively speaking, the teams are close here in terms of gold. Yes, Misfits have got the dragons and the towers, but Fnatic, they try to force the hand of Misfits, end up losing their mid inner turret, and we're getting to that point where Baron is up, and both of these teams are bold enough to go for that sneaky or cheeky play if they feel they can.
Yeah, but Trevor, let's take a look at the map state here, because do you see the mid lane towers right now from the side of Fnatic? That's a very long lane to come out, and this means Misfits, they can push that further. They get more time to wait for a wave coming back into them, and that time they can use for vision control. That time they can use to set up these coming objectives that are on the way.
And of course, that is another difference to game number one. So adaptation here, as Misfits dropped the first game. We haven't taken a look at itemization for a brief while, I think, other than a small CS advantage for Adam. 1.5 to 2 items completed for most champions on the board. Phantom Dancer and Kraken Slayer there for Upset on Tristana. Want to keep a close eye on him, as now HiRit will once again be the target. He's got the ultimate to buy some time, but simply will not be enough. And it's the kill secured by Nisqy. Gets the shutdown, gets the tower, and it is still Fnatic. They're trying to force as a 5-man. They might think there's only one lane to play on at a time.
But that's the thing as well. That's the, I don't know if I want to say the downside to it, but because of the long lane you have in mid lane here, you're not losing minions to towers. So when Misfits are pushing in a wave, Fnatic, they get extra time as well before they have to cash in that minion wave. They get the time to move around the map, Trevor.
I really like the way you phrased that. The opportunity cost for Misfits is higher, because they will lose more, either experience or gold. And for Fnatic, they've got a little extra time to play with as those minions make their way down. Now, while that is good in this kind of slower pace or time, with 1.5 minutes till the Mountain Drake, with Baron being alive and available, I want to look at the vision, keep a closer eye on it. I feel like this game has been slightly stronger vision here from Misfits. In game one, I was very impressed with how Fnatic were able to consistently advance the vision line, and you can see already inside the river, a couple of wards which are now being challenged and cleared out by Misfits.
Yeah, they definitely are. And at the same time, even though there's only 1 minute left for potential soul point for Misfits, Fnatic, they're fretting the idea of a potential Baron. They're fretting the attention of Misfits and daring them to put some of it up towards the top side. So they don't necessarily need to do this for Baron, but it's just a potential where Misfits have to give it their attention.
Yeah, you can't forget about the objective. Teleports are available for everyone at Misfits. Adams will just about come up, and Nisqy's is a long time away. And now let's see, can Misfits make another team fight work? Previously, around the Rift Herald, it did. Vetheo found a powerful shockwave as Hylissang and Bwipo take the blast cone forward. Kobbe is inside the mid lane with Vetheo, so Misfits a tiny bit split up. Fnatic have initiated fights before Vander's the target. He's caught out, flashes away, throws out the encore, and will be taken down by Bwipo. Now HiRit is the target of Nisqy, who's managed to steal away that Dragon's Rage. With Misfits picking up, with Fnatic picking up the kill, that means Misfits have to concede the Dragon Pits.
That is so decisive for Fnatic as well. I'm not sure if Vander didn't have to flash up in time to flash the bite immediately, but Hylissang really finding once again a key pick for his team.
The question is, do you expect that level of engage every single time? I know Fnatic, you kind of have to weigh it up. You have to remember they like to jump on you. This time around, they find the kill, that opens up the dragon, that slows down that soul point.
And that's definitely what you want as well, actually, for both teams. That's why this game, even though we've had a lot of kills, it's been way more about the objective, because both teams right now has a win condition around these objectives. They have the potential to win these fights if it comes down to the execution. And this time around, with Hilly flashing forward for the stun and Vander, that was the execution we were looking for.
I wonder if Vander didn't expect or didn't know that Nisqy was inside the Dragon Pit. I think he did have his flash available, but Bwipo will be jumping forward onto Vetheo. The volley comes out. The Ashe arrow will tag down Hylissang, who's got no ultimate available, but the root comes out from the concussive blows. Teleport being channeled.
Oh my god!
Will jump into the fray. 2 kills to Misfits, and it's all on Adam. Can he do the damage? Nisqy goes golden thanks to the hourglass as Adam finds one back onto Vetheo. Kobbe remains untouched inside the jungle of Fnatic, and Adam runs for his life. A 2 for 4 to Misfits.
AD carry alive, top laner alive. This should be Baron here, but Vetheo sacrificing his own life to land that dream shockwave for his team to clean up the fight.
I mean, fully investing everything. 29 kills, 23 minutes. And Misfits this time around will get this Baron onto 4 of their members. They will extend to have a significant and meaningful lead. And we'll take a quick look at the pro view here from Razork.
Yeah, I think it's a really good kick to fancy it off in the beginning as well, anticipating that Hylissang is going to jump, catching Upset, forcing him to flash, and then obviously this shockwave to be clean up with the Tempest and the Goredringer of Razork there. Just insanely done by this team.
Well, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Multi-man ultimates from Vetheo, making this Orianna work. And the thing that's so difficult for honestly both teams, these fights have multiple angles to consider at all times. Adam was teleporting in behind Misfits, and had they not found the damage, you can see what Adam is able to do. He got himself a kill, he got out alive, and his Misfits now with Baron, 2 dragons and a small gold lead, but they have to consistently make those fights work because it's not enough of an advantage to say that this is their game.
And this is where we also want to see Misfits finally start to put up that good vision control, so if they are around multiple lanes with Baron buff, they won't get caught off guard, because that has been one of Fnatic's clear strength this game, and you can clearly see they know that. With Baron, don't risk anything, just force it down mid lane.
Yeah, that's the plan. Bwipo's coming in from behind. Upset will complete the recall, so Fnatic can choose to fight if they want to. Nisqy has stolen the encore. That could be gigantic from the hijack and throws it out. 4 members of Misfits caught in the fray. The reply from Vander between the uprights and nobody's locked down. All of a sudden though, it's Bwipo is the first to fall in Adam, and Bwipo is locked inside of Misfits' death ball. 3 kills to Misfits. There was not enough damage to secure it, and Misfits may push here for the win.
That's the thing, that is just 3 members down from Fnatic, and all of a sudden Misfits with this Baron can start closing out the game, Trevor.
Oh, the crowd control, the CC and the team fights. Misfits use it to perfection. They managed to bounce back after a crushing game 1, and Misfits even the series 1-1.
Just like that. That came out of nowhere.
Man.
I was about to talk about how they need to set up side lanes afterwards when they push in mid lane.
Was Bwipo and Adam rooted from Seraphine inside the Hextech ultimatum? I couldn't see what stopped them.
I know Vander missed his ultimate afterwards, I think.
Man.
But out of nowhere, they decided to look for a fight, and it just panned out in the favor of Misfits. I think Razork there had a pivotal kick where he almost went down to upset Tristana, gets out with this sliver of HP, and the rest of his members are just able to clean up the fight. Really nicely done by Misfits.
You can see the strength that Misfits players and team have when they are working together, when they land their abilities. The variance is what's causing the problem, right? This is a team that needs to find that consistency if they want to take down Fnatic. We'll get some more games to talk about it, because after the break, the analysts will break down the Vetheo shockwave that changed the outcome of this game. Which one? Which one are you going to pick? Oh, man.
Feelings getting stronger. Can I resist your love? Will I resist your love? Tell me, my heart beat like thunder. Can I resist your love? Will I resist your love? Someone tell me. Someone tell me.
Welcome back. It's Vedi with the telly, and I hope you're ready because we're going to talk about some replays once again. Misfits came back in this series after a massive team fight before Baron on the back of a great Vetheo shockwave. But it wasn't just Vetheo, it was a great team effort. The truth is, this game was scrappy, it was messy. So let's just break down one of the big fights that we saw between the two teams. So first, as I like to do in all replays, let's start by bringing up the minimap and highlighting the current situation. So we can see that Camille is sitting down towards the bot side of the map, and Renekton is sitting with top. Both top laners, well, Camille does have the teleport, and the Renekton does not quite yet. So this means that Misfits is in a good opportunity and position to actually force a team fight. So that's exactly what they're going to look for. So let's start by rolling out the clip, and keep your eyes on Bwipo here, as you can see him flashing over the wall. This is what we in the professional industry would call a little grief. The fact that he's committed so hard onto diving onto the backline here means that he has completely isolated himself from the rest of his team, while also giving easy access for this duo to actually attack in pretty much any direction that they want without the Renekton yet actually joining the fray. So Bwipo, by committing to this fight initially, puts his team in an awkward situation, and now you can see they're already on the retreat. So let's have a look at what Fnatic is doing here. First off, you can see that Nisqy is going to actually split off from the rest of the group because this TP is going to force them to separate, and the rest of Misfits have committed as the arrow comes through with the follow-up route here you can see from the Seraphine as well. Renekton has now started making his way down towards the team, but it's a little too late. So as we roll the play out, I want to keep your eyes on Razork here and what he does. The kick into knock-up onto upset is crucial because that's now going to leave him within range of all of these Misfits members that are primed and ready to kill him. So as the clip continues, he's going to be forced to flash out, and then here comes the Hextech ultimatum. Doesn't actually knock these two out of range because they're just on the edge of it, and this then sets Vetheo up to throw out the shockwave. Perfect timing, just as the jump comes through to allow the rest of Fnatic to clean up. Now, Adam, of course, does come in from the back line, but at this point, the team fight is already done. Too little, too late, and off the back of that, Misfits find themselves the big team fight and the Baron. Now we're going to look at it from Vetheo's perspective. So let's have a look. So, as we can see, Vetheo here, it's pretty straightforward. He's just left-clicking, he's left-clicking, he's left-clicking. He knows that he needs to throw out the shockwave at the right time. He sees his opportunity and throws out the shockwave. So very well played team fight from Misfits. This isn't very much what we expected, but it seems that they have shifted their approach coming into this game in terms of wanting to have a couple more team fighting tools with things like the Orianna and the strong side bot lane. Now, this is Vetheo's first playoffs in the LEC, and in Game 2, he stepped up when it matters. Let's get some more insight on the French mid lane.
Now Misfits, their return to the top this summer, that was a very pleasant surprise. And today, they take on the #1 seed Rogue in our opening series.
Rogue just better team all around.
Unfortunately, Misfits are underdogs.
I think Rogue 3-0, no question for me, they are just the stronger team.
I was very confident in fact we can win, probably the whole thing.
Misfits are breaking the curse of losing to Rogue.
I never played playoffs in stage. When you can go to Worlds if you win, it's not the same as just being second or first of LFL.
Now Vetheo looking for the re-engage, manages to pop Odo. This is a 2-4.
Before playing, I was watching a lot. I love this game. Nobody would know who we were or who I was, and now people start believing.
Misfits will be knocking down the Nexus, forcing game.
Going to Worlds is like the biggest achievement you can do, because I want to play against the best. It will make me proud of myself and of our team.
Rogue did not get broken. Rogue take down Misfits. 3.
I mean, right now I just lost, so I don't really see the positive thing, but I think I just want to play the best I can, to have no regrets. I think we will win the next best of 5. I'm really confident, make the enemy sweat the most and maybe win. At the end, all what matters is winning. I think being confident is one of the most important things. If you're not confident, I think you can't win. I won't lose this confidence for next week, for sure. People should just remember me as the next best mid in EU, for sure.